Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2019 CFE Review. This is Mike Katzman. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's presentation. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you. It's been a while since I have run a webinar. It's been about a week or so. So it's really nice to come back and really nice to kind of do a session here on something that's really, really important. So I hope I'm going to kind of kick off the new year on the right foot and that you'll have enough resources that you can take all the information from here and kind of just apply it immediately to your preparation period. So before we get started, I'd like to just do a quick sound check. If you can hear me, please say like yes, or the video quality is say 10 out of 10, or the audio quality is 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. Okay, so if you're able to hear me, if you could see the screen, please let me know and we'll get the process started here. We'll get the presentation going. Just like to do a quick sound check. Super quick, okay? Quick sound check to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page, everyone's able to follow along, and everyone's ready to go. Okay, so it looks like people are able to hear me. That's wonderful. Thank you again for taking the time. 1 second. So some people are still not able. If you can't hear, try on Google Chrome. Okay, you probably have to switch, your browser. And by the way, for those of you that are in the chat right now, if you could also help me out a little bit. So if one of your colleagues, if someone else in the room is not able to tune in for whatever reason, please ask them to try out Google Chrome or Firefox or a different browser that might help them, watch. Sometimes employers block certain, websites, okay? Or sometimes, things are not updated. So, you may just want to try a different browser, okay? Okay, try another browser, please. Okay, all right, folks. So tonight's session is really interesting because we'll be talking a lot about how to proceed given that it's, January in 2019. And I want to make sure that we do everything possible for you to be ready, for the 2019 CFE. I want to do anything it takes to help explain what you need to know for the whole process. So let's get started. I'm your session leader for today. This is Mike Katzman. I'm the course director at PrepFormula. Previous to me working at PrepFormula for a number of years now, I was a comprehensive marker for CPA Canada as part of the National Marking Center. For those of you that that don't really know what the National Marking Center is, it's the final stage. Basically, it's like the gatekeepers of the profession that work for CPA Canada marking, like the CFE and previous to that, the UFE. It's actually the exact same marking center. It's been run the same way for, 20 years, okay? So something for you to kind of watch out for. Okay, and prior to that, I was involved with York University's Atkinson program as a UFE and CFE Prep marker in a case writing course. And before that, I was involved with my firm's UFE and CFE Prep process. Actually, at that time, it was the UFE process at Ernst & Young. So I've been doing this for quite a while and have been involved in this for about a decade. Okay, a decade of UFE and CFE cases. It's been great, and I've probably worked with thousands of students now. I'm not sure how many thousand, but definitely I'm in the thousands, and it kind of helps you see a lot of different cases and makes things a lot, like really interesting. So why PrepFormula? Like, who are we? Like, what is this? So first of all, PrepFormula provides a supplementary training program for students going through CPA Prep, and our unique angle is that we pair students with markers on a one-to-one basis. Okay, so imagine that if you're just to take a student and pair them with a National Center marker together, and you work hand in hand. So not just marking, but also one-on-one sessions to kind of keep you, keep you going. Previously in 2017, we had roughly a 90% pass rate. We don't have any results yet for 2018. We're still tabulating. We're still kind of working on that, and we'll release a pass rate shortly. But from 2015 onwards, PrepFormula has been the largest and most trusted CPA prep program in Canada, with up to 50,000 site visits a month. Actually, we're up to 70,000 now. We essentially teach live classes twice a week, most of which are free for students. Okay, so the one that you're watching today is free for everyone, but going forward, they will only be free for registered students in our programs. Okay, so even though they show a price, for example, they are free for, CFE writers. Okay, so very quick disclaimer. I like to always submit a disclaimer because, we live in a litigious world, which is kind of annoying, but I have to do this. So you feel free to read this at your own, during your own time. But basically, it just says that a lot of the interpretations are my own personal opinion and all rights are reserved. Okay, quick intro. So I want to get right to it, okay? There's probably a number of people in here right now listening to this presentation and are wondering how to get started with the CFE process. I often get questions from people saying, is it too early? Like, will I burn out? These are all really interesting comments because what is your alternative? The alternative is for you not to start now, but to start, for example, several months later. If you have an opportunity to start now, part-time, you should. Okay, there's absolutely nothing in the world. There's no argument, there's zero argument for not starting sometime in January. And I'll tell you why. You have 9 months as of now. If you wait until May, if you wait until June, you have less time. So will you feel more stress later on? Yes, you probably will. If you start earlier, it's easier to get into it. Second thing, remember the CFE is a relative exam. There's no minimum score, there's no benchmark, there's no passing grade. You are ranked amongst other people. So if you look around, the people that are currently, going through the process are writing cases daily. So the core and elective students that go through CPA Prep, okay, those people that you are writing against are doing cases every single week. So my question to you is, why do you feel like you shouldn't? Do you kind of get my drift here? So you want to be on the same level as other people. So what I first wanted to start with, and I know that I'm just springing right into this, but a lot of people have been emailing me over the last, couple of weeks, like during the holidays, and asking, should I get started? Should I not? I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want to get started. Here's what you should do. Okay, before we even get into the whole presentation, I just want to quickly cover this because I think it's so critical. Take a look at this schedule. So what I've done is I've put together a quick schedule for you to just kind of review and something that you should sort of pay attention to, okay? So here are the dates. This is as of Monday. And this particular session goes all the way up until the CFE. Okay? I have it all planned out until September 11th, right here. It's all planned. I will make this schedule available for you if you want to check it out. Okay? It will be available free of charge for anyone who wants to download it after tonight's session. Okay, I will make it available. It will be after tonight's session. Now, what should you do? What are you supposed to do? And I'll cover this in a second, but if you follow along with us, we slowly cover topics that you need to know. For example, next week, we cover revenue recognition. Then we'll have a quick review. Then we do intangible assets. Then we look at how to write cases. Then we do lease accounting under IFRS 16. Then we'll do internal controls versus procedures, which is an assurance-based class, property, plant, and equipment, special engagements, etc. You get it, right? So we slowly tackle certain subjects that you need to cover throughout the whole process. This way you ease yourself into the content. The second thing that you'll find is on the, kind of the closer to the right side of your screen, you see these random case numbers. Case 30, case 15, case 14, case 8, case 42, etc., right? as you can see, this always happens to fall on a Saturday, right? We always have them on a Saturday here, onwards. My suggestion is, in addition to these live classes twice a week in the evenings, I hope you could join me, by the way, please also attempt a case. Now, by the way, some of you might email me and say, should I do case 30? It has to be case 30, right? Well, no. My point to you is you should do one case per week all the way up until kind of, time for the CFE. And then around late July, you can make modifications. And by the way, as part of the program, we customize a schedule for each student. So around kind of late July, early August, you can have your own writing plan for what to do. But my suggestion is at least to do one case per week. So for those of you that are trying to think about, like, how do I plan my time? How do I plan my schedule? What am I supposed to do? Here's what I would do. I would practice one case per week, and I would attend and watch a few sessions here and there. And that will slowly bring you up to speed. Anyway, moving on with the presentation. I just wanted to start off with that because I've had a lot of comments from people that have been asking, how do I how do I proceed? Where do I go from here? Will I burn out? Will I, all sorts of questions. I can tell you, burnout is something that's really confusing for me. The burnout process implies that there's something wrong with, cramming. And I agree that cramming is difficult. Now, if you're constantly cramming and doing an excessive amount of work, that will be burnout. If you do one case per week, I don't believe you will burn out. It's plain and simple. I'm getting a few questions. Can we redo the capstone 2 cases? Yes, you can. Absolutely. I'm getting another question. Where will we get these cases? These cases are available all from your marker. So as part of the program, you have access to all these cases. The cases are available from your marker. All you simply have to do is set up a quick call with them, set up a session, and they will work on a schedule together with you. The point of me doing this is for me to just suggest a study plan, a study approach, so you sort of know at least what, I think you should be doing. Now, what are we going to cover? We're going to cover a lot of things. In general, let's just kind of get right into it. As I showed in my previous session before the holidays, I showed this chart. For those of you that did not see this chart, I just wanted to show it again because I think it's super critical, for you to understand some numbers. A lot of people this time around have emailed me and said, hey, was the pass rate lower compared to last year? If you look at the data, the number of successful writers actually went up very significantly. So if anything, there was a way greater number of writers than ever, and the pass rate was pretty consistent because there was a significantly larger number of writers, okay? So what you'll find is, it was a significant kind of difference. Right. So, in general, there was, there's lots of opportunity for, for you to pass. And 6,000 people became CPAs. So is it possible for you to do this? Yes, totally. Okay. It's totally possible for you to do, all of this. It's totally possible for you to pass. I'm getting another question from Sharif. He asks, I think there's only 6 or 7 cases available to us, or 7 or 8 cases. Yes, Sharif, you'll have to reach out to your marker again. They have more. They have lots more. So you'll have to reach out to them to get more cases that are not on the website. Okay. So for those of you that failed day 1, I just want to quickly kind of discuss something. Day 1 is something that's really tricky for a lot of people, mainly because the format of the exam this year, especially the day 1 portion, was very different compared to what the practice cases look like. And unless you applied a consistent strategic approach that incorporated the PrepFormula format and, very neatly integrated this, all your situational analysis stuff directly into your, decisions, which which you have to make. You are probably really stuck with the new format and kind of the new approach. So because of that, you probably saw something that said failed. If you were unsuccessful in the CFE Day 1 process, I think it's totally normal to feel like you're kind of like swimming, that you're down. Please note that we're happy to review any kind of PAR documents. We're happy to review any kind of additional resources or information that you might find. And my suggestion in general is to book in another session with us to kind of talk about your Day 1 approach. We do have a CFE Day 1 marker in the program, and they're able to also kind of work with you if you're an existing PrepFormula student on a one-to-one basis to develop a new program going forward. If you are external to the program, if you're just watching the session, you're not a registered student, but you failed Day 1, feel free to reach out and let's talk about kind of how we can help you and how we can set up, this whole process for you. But what I can tell you is the Day 1 exam in general is more about having a specific layout and a specific approach than compared to doing like technical analysis or something that's, rigid or something that's, kind of detailed in nature. So in other words, the way for you to do better in Day 1 is for you to practice the same cases over and over and over whenever possible. What you might find was that previous in 2016 and 2017, the previous exams showed, for Day 1 at least, that the situational analysis was king to passing. 2018, it was, different. In the 2018 exam, it was in fact the integration. It was the integration of the situational analysis into the strategic alternatives that made the big difference. So that was something that you kind of had to make sure that you knew how to do. And that's something that we covered extensively in our CFE Day 1 webinar as part of our program. So there's always this funny inverse relationship between qualitative and quantitative that you kind of had to understand in order to make sense of the whole process. Now, Day 2 and 3 is very different. It's kind of like this Mario game where you have to play through 4 levels for you to pass. And a lot of people that also went through the process probably did not really understand their own results. So my suggestion is to first kind of pay attention to the game aspect of this. Now, level 1, if you've ever seen your results, level 1 tests you on average, where we look for your average across all different AOs as part of the process. So if you find that you failed at level 1, it means that on average, your average across all AOs was lower than other people. So what that generally means is there's something wrong with your overall approach in the sense that you're probably missing issues. A reason for failing a reason for failing level 1 is often because your average is lower because you're missing AOs, or you're not really tackling certain AOs, or you've been ignoring certain AOs and prioritizing, like with others. In other words, you are not consistent on average across all the AOs compared to every single possible opportunity for marks. So what it does is if you skip certain AOs in exchange for you doing better in another area because you really want to show the marker that you're strong in tax, for example, that creates a lot of problems. Okay, so that's naturally a challenge. I'm getting a quick question from Faisal. Yes, so we do help with the CFE Day 1 process as well. So as someone saying, will we get the mock exam for Day 1 as part of the package? We don't actually prepare mock exams for Day 1. Instead, we use the CPA resources. Feel free to reach out to me after, and I'd be happy to explain more. But basically, the point isn't to have additional resources as much as it is to just understand the format. And I'd be happy to point you in the right direction of where you might find additional information about that. And I can also connect you with a CFE Day 1 marker as part of, like as a student, you can have access to them, so you have an idea of where to go from here, what to do, etc. Okay, let's talk about levels 2, 3, and 4 quickly. Level 2 requires you to score a minimum number of C's in either financial reporting or management accounting. You're automatically evaluated for both. Now, please note that depth is an easier level to hit compared to level 1 average, your sufficiency. So it's way easier to score on depth than it is on average, because depth implies a couple of AOs done well. Average implies the whole average across the entire exam has to be strong. Every single AO. Does that make sense? So level 1 by definition is the hardest level. So same goes for level 3, depth in your role, and breadth basically means one particular C in any of the other areas. Okay, so that's kind of what what you need to know. I'm sure some of you may already know this. I just want to explain. Now, lots of people have asked me a bunch of questions. So in general, you should always assess based on your sufficiency score. If you were unsuccessful on level 1, you got a decile. The decile provides additional information for your analysis. If you got something that looks like a 1 or a 10, 1 means closest to passing, 10 means furthest from passing. If you got a score that you were not happy with, for example, any of the above, let's say that you have a 4 and you don't quite understand what to do with it. What it generally means that is that you are in the middle of the pack. The decile provides helpful information based on how close you were to passing. And from a marker's perspective, it's often really also important that, for example, if you're seeing a level that you really don't feel comfortable with, you probably should be starting the process as early as possible in terms of your preparation period. So if you're seeing something like a 5 to a 10, you should be starting as soon as possible, because you've got to bridge the gap in a much kind of bigger way compared to other people. So that's something that I would recommend. Now, of course, we are past the appeal process and we're past the PARs. But again, if you did order a PAR, that's totally okay as well. We'd be happy to review it. So feel free to send it over to either your marker or send it over to me. I'm happy to discuss. I'm happy to look into it. And the reason why I'd like this to happen is I want you to start studying as soon as possible. Start writing cases. Again, go back to my schedule, right? We talked about this super early. Go back to my schedule. Start writing cases as early as possible. Pick yourself back up. It's not a big deal, and just try again. Just keep going and keep doing it. If this is your first time writing and you're tuning into the session and you have no idea why I'm pushing people to write, that's totally okay too. If you're a first time writer, then my advice for you is focus on the modules for now. But please note that the CFE is a different game. The CFE is a whole different beast by itself, and the CFE is all about consistent writing, right? You have to kind of write consistently, write a lot, feel very comfortable with the whole process, and you'll score well, and you'll do very, very well with the whole process overall. Okay. So you have an option, by the way, to get access to Capstone 2 materials. So CPA will try to sell you some more materials. Sometimes what you'll find is they'll also try to sell you other cases from, say, Core 1 or Core 2 or, etc. Just like as supplementary resources. In general, you probably should not do this, because materials alone is not the reason why you were unsuccessful. So materials are never going to help you pass the CFE. Practicing cases every single week and debriefing them properly and taking them up and discussing them with a marker and going line by line and solving and fixing, that helps you pass. Okay, simply buying extra materials is kind of like the equivalent of a diet pill. You just, you're buying this phantom product that you think will sort of help you, but it really won't. The point is, this all comes down to a lot of kind of just, detailed, in-depth work that we have to be able to fundamentally break down what you're doing wrong one-on-one, discuss it with you, explain, and kind of walk through how to improve. That's really the only way to prepare. And that's really, I think, one of the key messages that I want to share tonight, that the key to passing the CFE is continuous preparation with appropriate debriefing. And that's kind of how, you score better on the whole process. Lots of other people also have asked me, do I need to take time off? Is it something that's super critical or not? In my experience, I like to suggest for people to take time off. If you fail day one, alone, you probably need less time off. In general, you may want to just aim with your employer, for example, for about 2 weeks off. So now is a good time for you to approach, your employer, if you're working currently, and say, hey, sometime in early September, and maybe the last week of August, I need the time off because I'll be writing this massive exam again. This is the time for you to just plant the seed and book off that time with an HR manager or with your employer, your manager, etc., whoever you work for. This is the time for you to start preparing for that time off. And please try to maybe allocate some of your vacation time to it, so you're able to, kind of recover from it very, very quickly. Now, please note that, we stand behind any of our students. So we do provide access on an ongoing basis to the materials, within certain packages. So if you were a student of ours and you did not pass with us, please feel free to connect. Send us an email to support@prepformula.com, and we'd be happy to help, and we'll do anything possible, basically, to help you, back on your feet as quickly as possible. And, I also would just want to quickly say that from my experience, I think it's really important having a coach, having someone who you can sort of rely on, someone who can sort of help guide you. For example, if it's only 2 days left onto the CFE and you're struggling with something and you don't really know who to contact, who are you going to call? Okay, I can assure you I'll be there, we'll be there. Everyone from the program will, has your back. And we'll do anything possible to assist in general. Now, I quickly want to just share a few dates with you, and also some exam preparation techniques. We only have a very limited amount of time together today, so I'm trying to rush through a bunch of information. So feel free to, by the way, also stop me and feel free to ask any questions that you might have in the chat. So far, people have been asking me all sorts of questions, which is great. And if I'm going too fast, if I haven't explained something, please do reach out, okay? My role is to make sure that you're comfortable, that you know exactly how to prepare, that you know how to get started, that you've got the confidence to go in and just write this thing, and, feel very comfortable about your preparation process, okay? So feel free to let me know. But, what I wanted to quickly kind of guide you on, and I think this is something that's super important. I wanted to first explain some of the key principles in how you prepare for the CFE going forward. Okay, so irrespective of what your background is, irrespective of how many times you've written it, if 0 or 1 or more than 1, irrespective of how many times you've tackle the CFE, what I want to do is I want to be able to explain how to tackle the whole process. So first of all, let me explain the process again in general for any of you that are doing this for the first time. So we always have a few people in the program that attempt the exam for the first time. And especially for a session like this, I mean, although it does target a lot of experienced writers, there's always people that attend that are just sort of curious. So if you're a curious person and you're here because you just want to know more about the CFE, here's some basic structure about how the CFE works. In general, it's 3 days in length. Day 1 is 4 hours, day 2 is 5 hours, and day 3 is 4 hours. Here are some of the key dates: September 11th to the 13th, 2019. Make sure, again, you book off those dates in your calendar. So try not to, schedule weddings or family events around these dates. You'll be very, very tired before and after this exam. So kind of try to keep it very, light around it. Again, focus on the rules, right? Remember that level 1, 2, and 3, and 4 that we talked about earlier. The way to prepare is by doing better through the rules. There's also different kinds of marks available through the assessment opportunities, and the marking guides generally provide some idea, but it's not perfect. So the way that kind of the average works, for example, for day 1, there might be, for example, 7 opportunities within a day 2 case. Let's say 10 opportunities within a day 2 case. And there might be another 15 opportunities on day 3. For NEC, you might get for example, 4 marks. For any RC, you might get 2. There's slightly more marks that are awarded on a day 2 case compared to a day 3 weight, compared to your level day 1 overall sufficiency score. So try to kind of plan out the strategy, plan out what you're going to do in the future, how you're going to tackle this, and how you'll score well. Now, from a case writing perspective, obviously this is a case writing focused exam. Lots of people ask me, what subjects should I be studying? This week I had and by the way, not to pick on you, if you're hearing about this, and if you think that this is your story, this week I had a really interesting question from a student that was asking me about which topics they should review up front and how should they kind of tackle the whole process going forward. And here's what I want to share, with you all. So I want to share this document with you, and I want to explain how to, how to read it. I want to explain how to go through it. In general, here are the scores from the previous 3 years of the CFE. And here are the pass rates of all the assessment opportunities, like all the different parts of the question and all the individual buckets of marks per question for the last 3 years of the CFE. Now, why should you care? Why is this important? Why am I showing you this, document on your screen? The point is, this is broken down by topic. So you can go financial reporting, you can go management accounting, you could do the audit rules, audit and assurance, finance, etc., performance management, tax, and then you've got the breadth areas, etc. Now, what's the point of this? Assume for a second that your role is assurance and you are curious about what to study and what to focus on as part of your study process. And assume that you don't know much about how to prepare, what to study, what to look at, and you're really confused because you looked at the CPA Competency Map and you saw a bunch of gibberish, okay? A bunch of gibberish, lots and lots of pages and pages and pages and all this stuff, okay, that you're supposed to review. And by the way, someone's asking me here, about day 2, and actually there's 2 really, really good questions here. I'll tackle them in a second. But, what you need to know, by the way, actually, you know what? Let me start with these questions because they're actually very, very good. So someone is asking me, is day 2 the same for all, or is it different depending on your election? Really good question. Imagine that the exam has 10 things for you to do. By things, I mean assessment opportunities. By assessment opportunities, I mean buckets of marks in like individual lines. So these are the AOs. Okay, these are things for you to do. Half of them will be on either management accounting or financial reporting. You see, in this case, it's mixed. So the Day 2 Common has 4 common areas under financial, like reporting, and 2 areas under management accounting. So half the exam is consistent for everyone. It's the same case. And then the other half of the exam has a role. And what the role means is this. So the second part, the assessment opportunities will differ. For example, if you pick audit and assurance, these are the AOs for audit and assurance for the second portion of the Day 2 case under the role. This is for finance. This is for performance management. This is for tax. So first part, same. Second part, different. Now, why is this document critical? I want you to take this document, print it. I don't know what you need to do. Maybe you should print it on a giant, poster and put it in your, in your room in front of you, because you need to understand how this works. I often get people asking me, how do I study? How do I prepare? Here, I want to just quickly show you something. Assume for a second, again, your role is assurance. So you're asking me, what should I possibly review? What should I possibly do better in? Take a look at the type of information that was tested on the 2017 CFE. We had AO8, independence. We had AO9, purchase credits, which is basically, if you knew this case, it was more of revenue stuff, like revenue recognition, but how to audit the revenue received. Okay. AO10, risk, materiality, procedures, internal controls, special reports, and procedures for special reports. And if you look, people did very well in procedures because, for example, getting competence or competence with distinction is where you want to be. So, for example, the sum of this is 71% of people got this right. Special engagement procedures, right? 50% of people got this right. Okay? Yes, by the way, you will have this spreadsheet. I mentioned this earlier. Okay, 79% of people got internal controls right. 60% got procedures right. 80% materiality. Get it? So the point of all of this is you need to know what was tested before. Now, let me show you a quick trick here. Take a look at 2016. I just want to show you something really interesting. I want to show you that people who write exams are lazy. Take a look at 2016. Engagement issues, risk, materiality and audit approach, analytical review, procedures again, special reports again, internal controls again. Do you notice that the same subjects reappear? How is that possible? Let's take a look at 2015. Audit and assurance. Analysis, ratios, again, risk, materiality and approach, procedures, errors, so that's accounting errors, similar to 2017, and an IPO. In this case, it was IPO due diligence procedures, so also procedures. Now, do you notice that in general, when we look at stuff, we find that it's the same subjects being tested? Now, let's look at another competency area. Now, let's look quickly at financial reporting. Okay, so this is all the financial reporting AOs possible in 2015. We have inventory, revenue, research and development, which is intangibles, right? Discontinued operations, which is a property, plant, and equipment. We had a financial statement adjustment at the end. Again, revenue. And again, intangibles. Take a look at 2016. Revenue again. twice in 2 years. Warranty, cost of sales, again, revenue. Lawsuits, that's a new one. Development costs, we had that last year. That's intangibles. Covenant and borrowing base recalculation, that's a new one. And goodwill, also a new one, but sort of related to intangibles. Then we had a land exchange, property, plant, and equipment. We had that last year. 2017, revenue recognition, non-monetary transactions, impairment, that's the same in 2016. Lawsuit, again, same in 2016. Crowdfunding, which is revenue, and ratio, same as in 2015. Do you see my point? Does everyone understand where I'm getting at here? Now, pull up the CPA Competency Map. Look at how many possible subjects you can be tested on financial reporting. Why in the world are they testing the same areas over and over and over from 15 to 16 to 17? Why is 75% of the areas identical? Well, the point is these are the key areas within accounting. Revenue is sort of like the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes of accounting. So if you have to, teach people to watch out for major areas like in revenue, where are you going to do it? You're going to do it on a standardized exam. CPA Canada does that, absolutely does not care whether you are, how to, remember segment reporting or subsidiaries or some of these bizarre sections that generally never see the day of light, right? There's lots of specialist work that's done, and that's something that you can think about, when you are sort of, pursuing other advanced degrees or, at work. But from an exam context, please note that the topics keep on getting, recycled. Now, the other thing is something that, like for me to explain, is the point of this whole process, and the reason why I'm showing you all of this is the point of being a smart exam writer is you have to be able to use the handbook resources available to you. So a really smart, a really good exam writer is capable of using the handbook for the new stuff that might pop up. So a handbook in a digital format is provided to you as part of the exam. So what you may want to teach yourself on how to do, and by the way, we're going to have more resources explaining how to do this in the future and kind of explaining some of the, quick tips around using Surpass, which is the exam software. But what I really want to explain to you is you have access to all this information, and you're able to search all of the criteria right away on the fly using a keyword during the exam. Get used to doing this, right? Get used to finding stuff in the handbook. Get used to, being able to extract information out of the handbook on the fly, paste it into your Word document, and move on. That's how you do better for the new stuff that you haven't really seen before. So if 75% of the exam is constant, is common, is something that reappears, that's great. And you will know that stuff inside out by reviewing these areas. But for the 25% of stuff, get into a habit of basically copy and pasting the standard directly from the handbook, using a keyword, dumping it into your Word document, cleaning it up, and then answering. Does that make sense? So you have to have a strategy for any of the existing stuff. Try to memorize, the core areas, which is all of this stuff. That's where the spreadsheet comes into play. And for the new stuff, you sort of have to work with the handbook. Okay. Someone's also asking, how do we get the handbook? Well, CPA Ontario or Western School of Business or Atlantic or Quebec, they provide the handbook. And as part of your student registration fee, they will provide you with the handbook. They will provide you with a searchable version of the handbook. Also, Surpass, the exam software available on the CPA Canada website. Now not Ontario, not like WSB. The Surpass software available on the CPA Canada website also provides you with access to the handbook. But again, you also need a student ID for you to access that, okay? So feel free to register and get both, okay? And you will have access to it right away, okay? But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. Yes, I will make this available. Yes, I'm happy to post this I will, provide you with all the resources that you need. Anyway, moving on. When you are finally writing cases, let's say that you have reviewed all the technical. Let's say that you've come across all the information that you had to. Let's say that you did everything up front, that you're comfortable with that spreadsheet, that you're now in case writing mode. You're now ready to start tackling that one case a week. So if you remember, we're kind of like at like this stage, right? Sorry, I'm just gonna. Right? We're in like the case 30, case 15 stage. Let's say that you're now interested in trying a few cases. How do you now write cases? Well, a perfect way to write cases is using a computer-based approach. So as I mentioned earlier, a really strong case writer basically takes information from the handbook, is able to move stuff around, and is able to manage the entire planning process in a digital format. So what we have to do is assemble it by using something called RODAC. So RODAC requires you to, apply a planning approach, okay, a planning approach in order to access the most marks available. So the way that you'd want to do this is by R, reading the case, O, organizing using an outline using a computer, which is basically a skeleton version of your answer, D, dividing into competency area topics. So as you read each sentence, you divide into other competency area topics. Fairly simple, right? Fairly simple. You kind of, explain what has to be done where. And then you apply the preferred format and you conclude. Okay, that is ultimately how you score well. You conclude, and then you'll kind of, you're going to look at stuff there. You also want to create some kind of a plan with time allocation. So you may want to mention like a date or a timeline or your role to explain to yourself where you'd want to go. The more that you try to kind of put together some reasonable expectations for yourself, the better that you'll do in terms of the whole case writing approach. So the strongest candidates in the process are those that eventually basically end up applying all of these different strategies and kind of, bring it all online, right? Bring it all on board. Now, writing is one thing, okay? Writing is one thing. Now, another really critical thing for you to focus on is proper debriefing. So let me explain that. Proper debriefing implies that it's not just about writing a case once and kind of dealing with it. Proper debriefing implies that you have to take up the case and potentially rewrite it several times until you get it perfect. So proper debriefing requires you to focus on quality behind the overall approach. And the way that it generally works is you'd have to read the solution guide, read the sample solution if possible. If you don't have access to sample solutions, we can probably provide them to you. Feel free to reach out to your marker for this. They might be able to supply you with additional information or with sample solutions there. Okay? Try to mark your own paper. See if you picked up on some of the issues or several issues or all the issues. Then review what you've missed. Apply technical, review technical. For example, when you do a case and it has some new information about it that you don't quite understand, like intangibles, feel free to look up intangibles and feel free to look up the handbook standard. See if you can memorize a few keywords. Right? That's how you sort of do it, right? And then the last piece is rewrite the portions of the response or the entire response based on areas that you did not score well in. So the way for you to do better is for you to consistently try to reattempt the case, right? That's ultimately how one does better and better and better at the whole process. Anyway, okay. So I'm getting another question here. For example, financial instruments and leases are new standards. I heard CPA always tends to test the new standards. Are these two going to be important things to look at? By the way, financial instruments is not a new section. It was already applied for 2018. And, IFRS 9 in general has been covered extensively using the PrepFormula classes. So you may want to review that. Now, in my own experience, I do think, for example, this time around, my prediction is they will have something on the new lease standard on IFRS 16, mostly because it's a big change. It's a significant change, and I think it's something that you will see more information about. So I highly recommend for you to review IFRS 16, and we have a class coming up in about 2 weeks on IFRS 16. Okay. Another quick question here. When we're writing cases at this stage, should we target completing cases in 60 or 90 minutes? Yes. And if you don't complete the case, you have to properly debrief. And you have to see again, did you pick up on some of the issues, several issues, all the issues? Go through this checklist. Okay, review, rewrite, look up technical. Try to apply the same checklist going forward. And by the way, some people are saying, should you rewrite the whole case from start? I think so. So I'm a big believer that rewriting the case from scratch will help you plan your responses better. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to share some of my own kind of marking experience here. A lot of what I just talked about is very much sort of like marker friendliness. So the point that I really want to convey throughout the whole presentation here today is you want to make your, responses. The reason why you strategize to complete as much as possible is as a marker, as you can see here is my marking ID. As a marker, I don't know anything about you. All I know is I get a standardized product from you. And this standardized product basically is your case response. I can't tell anything about who you are. All I can see is what you provide me. So the better that the product is, the more likely that you're going to pass. And that's really what the idea is behind case writing. So here's kind of a quick logic plan for the 2019 CFE. My suggestion is something that you'd want to kind of, look at. So here's kind of a perfect study plan from what you might want to focus on. My advice is one case per week until the CFE. Monday, you can write the case. Tuesday, you debrief the case and then attend a class. Wednesday, you reattempt the case. Thursday, you debrief the case again, potentially attend a second class. Thursday to Sunday, off. Okay? Alternatively, you can do a case write on Saturday instead of doing something on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday or Thursday. Okay? Now, the CFE Prep Plus program will provide you with, a pass guarantee with lifetime access and 14 credits for regular case writing monthly with your one-on-one marker. So the idea is if you have more credits, you can sort of do a lot more. So this is a really good time to get started with the whole process. And please note that our program has started for the 2019 CFE. It will go all the way up until the 2019 CFE in September with our continuous class schedule. And I look forward to seeing you there for future classes. I do kind of hope that you've enjoyed this session so far. Here's also some more information. Here's, what we plan on doing. So my advice for you again is start preparing now, not July 2019. Do it now. Okay. We also have a 7-day session coming up. Here are the exact dates. The session will run in July, and it will take you all the way up until the CFE itself. Okay. The 7 intensive day session called CFE Live will sort of take you basically through all the major case writing portions and will help you understand. So you take the preparations starting now, in addition with CFE Live, the one-on-one coaching, And the webinars, it will definitely kind of provide you with the support that you're looking for to feel comfortable for the 2019 CFE. Okay. Please note that our prices rise very soon. I think they rise tomorrow. So if you are not a PrepFormula student yet, please visit the website. There are two options. One called CFE Prep at $7.97, another called CFE Prep Plus for $11.97. Someone's asking whether we can buy extra credits. Yes, the credits are $50. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I may be happy to also help you get more. Also, if you click on the chat button, Roxana, if you click on the chat button and if you ask about credits, they can also help you as well, and they can help you process the credits right away there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, does anyone have any questions? I'm just gonna leave it on this screen for now. Does anyone have any questions so far about the presentation? Anything at all? I'm also going to leave my contact information. I will make all the documents so far from this presentation available, and I'd be happy to share them with you as well. They will be attached to this process. Okay, folks, I'm getting a quick question here. Someone's asking me what's the difference in between CFE Prep and Prep Plus. Prep provides you with 6 credits. Prep Plus provides you with 14 credits. Prep Plus also comes with a pass guarantee with lifetime access. Prep does not. Okay, and someone else is also asking, I searched the CPA website for the CPA handbook, but could not find it. Could you please help? Again, you may want to contact, for example, if you're in CPA Ontario student, you may want to contact CPA Ontario. Like, you actually have to email and contact them. It's not readily available on their website. However, Surpass, the exam software, is on the CPA Canada website, and it is publicly available. So you don't actually need to contact anybody for the exam software. So if you Google Surpass, here, let me type it out, Surpass, and CPA Canada, you'll find it. Okay, folks. Let me just okay. Someone's asking for a discount. Mojid, please feel free to reach out to me. If you have any questions about pricing and all that sort of stuff, feel free to just reach out to me at any point in time. Here, Mojid, reach out to me. Mike.katzman@PrepFormula.com. Okay, folks. That's pretty much it. Does anyone have any other questions here? Okay, folks. Thank you so much for joining me today. I very much appreciate it. So again, our CFE program starts as of now. I really look forward to working with you. We'll see you all next week for revenue recognition for our next session. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out, and I will upload all the documents from tonight's session. Thank you again, and have a wonderful evening.